My mother is threatening to starve herself if I don't agree to have a baby when I turn 30. Should I give her a false promise? She has been telling me and my younger brother that she wants grandchildren since I was around 9 years old, but not super seriously, just in passing, at least until recently. For the past 2 weeks, she has been frequently like 2 or 3 times a day, which is a big jump from once every few months, asking questions and making statements like, when I grow old, I'll hold your grandchildren, or you're going to get married, right? And each time I'm like, no, I don't want children. It was very annoying, but it ended when we told her no. Now in the past few days she has stopped asking my brother about it, but is increasingly pestering me about having a baby. The night before yesterday I finally asked her to drop the subject because it was getting on my nerves, and she just started screaming. First she shouted, who's going to take care of me when I get old? I told her I'll die alone. Then she asked who's going to take care of her if I pass away. I told her her son will. She calmed down and then went on about how I don't have to marry if I don't want to. I can just have a child via artificial insemination. That I could just have one child. For her, I would be a great mother, etc., etc. She said one child will be enough for me. I told straight up she sounded creepy, and she started shouting about how both of us, me and my brother, never hug her or cuddle her anymore, and that she just misses holding us when we were babies. I didn't really know what to say to that, but told her that she can't make me have a baby if I don't want one. Then she said she'll force me to, and that. She was saying all this with a smile on her face. I guess in a jokey manner, but it didn't feel that jokey. I didn't reply and just ignored her. She started again a while later saying that she's going to go on a strike, aka starve herself, until I agree to have a baby when I turn 30. It was baffling. Of course I didn't believe her. She's very frail and weak and cannot go without some food for more than 5 hours throughout the day. I think she's also going through perimenopause because her migraines are increasing and her periods are becoming irregular. I'm wondering if that could be impacting her. For why I don't want a baby or get married. I don't think I've ever been attracted to any man or woman, like ever. I have babysitted a lot of younger cousins, like complete newborns to 11-year-olds, and children are just annoying. Of course it's different to just babysit for a few days or weeks and being completely responsible for the life and well-being of an entire human being. And I don't think I'm built for it, personally. There's also the fact that I'm scared to being a bad mother. She hasn't raised me in the best of ways, and I'm scared of passing on my problems like she has with me and my brother, why self-esteem, body insecurity, repressed emotions, disordered eating, etc. She doesn't realize she and us have these problems and is even proud of some of them. I don't want that for my child. She has had 3 failed marriages and 2 failed long-term relationships as well. So far she skipped breakfast. She didn't tell me her plans for making lunch, which was unusual, and when I asked her, she said to make me and my brother sandwiches. I was baffled again and told her that she needs to stop being stupid and eat something. She ignored me then and is still ignoring me. She's had a cup of coffee as well, which is serious because she quit caffeine 2 years ago after struggling a lot to do so, and now she's just resumed. She's also stopped talking to my brother. I don't know what to do. Should I make a false promise, or just let her starve and hope she comes to her senses? Because I don't want to have a baby and don't want to get married. And the moment I promise her, she's probably going to tell the entire extended family that I've agreed to have a baby, even if I ask her not to. When the time comes and I resist having a baby, she's going to probably lose her shit. I've never broken any serious ones, but some relatives have, and she just gets miserable and fuming for weeks. The last time she was this crazy about a promise was about me and brother taking care of her when she gets very old and not abandoning her, about 3 years ago. But she didn't threaten to starve herself and was just incessantly begging for a few hours, because both of us quickly agreed to. Then she told the entire extended family. So obviously this means a lot to her, but she's never threatened to harm herself like this, no matter the promise she made us keep. She's old, her health hasn't been the best in the past decade, and changes to her routine affects her a lot, so this is extremely worrying. Any advice is appreciated. Honestly, she's not old at 53. My mom is 75 and wouldn't talk such nonsense. She sounds genuinely unwell and emotionally manipulative. That's manipulation for beginners. Tell her you care and ask if she has any funeral wishes once she's starved herself to death. It's concerning behavior. She may need to see a doctor for the migraines and eating habits. Am I the antagonist for telling my friend that my husband is not as careless as hers? So I am pregnant with my first child. It wasn't planned, but we are extremely happy. I discovered my pregnancy roughly 3 months after my friend had her first baby, and she was super excited for me, saying how awesome it would be to bond over motherhood and how our babies could be best friends. We have known each other for 5 years, and I can honestly say she is one of my closest friends, but that said, we have still had our spats. Recently, I have been getting really annoyed with her because she has been talking more about the negatives of parenting than the positives, and insinuating that my husband, who is a godsend, will be the equivalent of a deadbeat that won't even know when to feed the baby or change a diaper. She is saying all of this because these are things her partner does. She has told me he did not feed her for 5 hours and that he wakes her all the time because he does not know how to soothe the baby. He has also left the baby unsupervised on the couch at least twice, and she has fallen off it both times. She keeps telling me how hard it will be for me and how my husband will do the same things. I have gotten fed up with it, and it culminated in an argument today of me telling her, my husband is not a deadbeat and actually cares enough to take baby classes and do his own research. My husband has been making me all kinds of nutritious meals, reading up on how to support me in labor and postpartum, reading up about things that are good for baby's development, and has been asking to spend more time with my sister's baby to have practice with diapers and feeding, etc. I told her about all he is doing to prepare for the baby and said how my husband is already more involved in caring for me and baby than hers has been in their daughter's life so far. I'm not saying our transition to parenthood will be perfect, but at least I can trust that he won't let the baby fall off the couch. Never mind let something like that happen twice. She started crying, saying that I'm cruel, and I'll understand when we are both sleep deprived, but she is not the only mother that I know, and her husband's carelessness with their baby is not in the norm from my experience. Am I the a-hole for saying my husband will be a better dad? Not the antagonist, you have every right to be annoyed with her. It's not okay for her to take out her frustrations on you by insinuating that your husband will be just like hers. It's completely valid to vent about your lazy husband, but it's not okay to project that onto your pregnant friend. You supported her and tried to change the conversation, but her negativity and pushback were out of line. Am I the antagonist for slowly getting rid of all my things before I move out? For context, around a year ago I had posted about my experience with my mother and her fiancé. They got married, and we moved to a 3-bedroom apartment. I rent a room for $1,000 because originally they wanted me to share a room with my stepfather's oldest daughter to get closer to her. I refused, so now I have to rent a room so that way I have more privacy. Sadly, that also means I had to downsize and sadly rehome my bugs and corn snake. My stepfather has a fear of bugs and snakes. I was absolutely torn after losing my cat that I had to lose my bugs and snake, as well as I sadly didn't tell anyone in our family what was happening cause I was afraid of being judged, cause my family disowned my mother. And since she married my stepfather, things have been going downhill. My mother used to be strictly sober of alcohol and drugs. She started heavily drinking and using weed almost daily and multiple times a day. I don't support this, as alcohol and drug use will shorten your life, and she's been getting mildly physically aggressive. Now this is where I might be the asshole. I got Facebook, eBay, and Craigslist to start selling my stuff, so I can make extra cash quicker to move out. And bit by bit, my room has been disappearing and no one has noticed. I have made around $3,000 from selling art supplies, old clothes, small furniture I don't use, old games, books. And I recently told a friend that I'm getting rid of my things, so that way when I move, I will only take my essentials and not have to bring all the random junk I simply don't use. My friend said that it was mean and manipulative to do that, as in my plan to move. I would be telling my mother the day of me moving that I would be moving, so that way she can't keep me trapped in the apartment. I mean, she hasn't even noticed I sold my favorite collection of old, gone My Little Pony toys. If she hasn't noticed all my things are slowly disappearing, I heavily doubt that it's mean of me to just move out. Though I am still taking some time still to make sure I sell all of my junk first. I've been cashing out my checks and hiding them in my room and paying her directly through my savings that I do keep for rent. I have been budgeting heavily as I buy my own food and my cat's food. I haven't been to the doctor's in over a year. I should really go, but I need to save up some more money. And working overtime even these past few weeks to keep making more money, but I only get paid minimum wage. And even overnight shift doesn't pay that well. So is it manipulative to sell my stuff before I plan to move out? Would that make me an asshole? I can't understand why anyone would think selling your own stuff makes you the You're unhappy in your situation and making a smart move to improve it, so I say crack on. Just a tip, don't keep cash in your room. Someone might find it and keep it, so consider putting it in your savings account. Not the antagonist for selling your property. Am I the antagonist for not inviting my ex-best friend to my wedding, even though I was the mo at hers? I, 31 female, had a friend Maria, 31 female, growing up. We met when we were about 8 or 9 and quickly became best friends. We started slowly growing apart in high school as our schedules changed and almost completely lost touch during college. By the time we were aged 23, we only saw each other once a year at Christmas for our old friend group's Christmas dinner. Maria got engaged to her high school sweetheart and asked me to be her maid of honor in the wedding. At the time she asked me, we had not seen or spoken to each other in almost 2 years, so it honestly shocked me when she asked, but I agreed. She asked me about a year before the wedding, and after she asked me to be maid of honor, she did not speak to me again for 6 months. I had taken it to mean maybe she wanted to rekindle our friendship and reached out a few times during those 6 months to meet up for lunch or hang out, but she never responded. When she finally texted me, it was to meet up with her and her best friend, one of the bridesmaids, to pick out the dresses for the bridal party. She showed up 3 hours late. Apparently, she and her friend decided to meet up for lunch and to hang out before meeting me at the mall, completely ignoring our agreed-upon time and the fact that I had already said I was there and waiting for them. I'm not going to go into details of the next 6 months leading up to the wedding, but that should give you an idea of how it went. By the time the wedding day came, I genuinely felt so used and disrespected. On the day of the wedding, Maria was just mean. I waited until the speeches and the first dance were over, then I left the reception and went home. I have not spoken to her since. It's been about 4 years since her wedding, and I am now engaged and getting married in 2 months. I did not invite Maria or any of our old friend group. In my mind, our friendship is well and truly dead. Apparently, Maria ran into my sister at a store, and we're chatting, and my sister mentioned the wedding. Maria texted me, honestly shocked she still has my number, to send me her address. So I knew where to send her invitation, and I just responded, "Thank you, but the guest list is already set. Have a nice day." She told the friend group, and now they're all blowing up my phone about inviting them for old time's sake, and that I owe at least Maria an invitation because I was her maid of honor. They've been posting on social media, and now even my mom is getting involved, saying I should invite them all just to keep the peace and out of respect for our old friendship. My argument is that I haven't spoken to them in years, and I don't care about this wedding etiquette thing, and I don't owe her an invitation just because I was her maid of honor, especially considering everything that happened with her wedding. But literally only my fiancé is on my side. So, am I the antagonist? If your fiancé is proving to be an excellent spouse material, then they will surely understand and support your decision to include only those who love and support you in the guest list. It's not about old friendships that have come to an end. It's about surrounding yourself with those who will be in your life for years to come, and maybe a few awkward relatives too. Ignore the naysayers trying to guilt trip you into inviting people you don't want there. Shut them down like you would shut down anyone trying to meddle in your wedding plans. My wife got mad at me for going to a party instead of the hospital. A few days ago, my wife's mother had a stroke and went to the emergency room. We dropped everything I called out of work, and we went to the hospital and stayed there the rest of the day. The next day, my mother-in-law was stabilized, and they were getting ready to transfer her out of the intensive care unit into an observation bed. They were just waiting for one to open up. Because she was doing better, my wife told me to go to work the next day. The next day was also the birthday for one of the groomsmen from my wedding, and a few weeks prior I let his spouse know that I probably wasn't going to make it since my shift would end pretty much the same time his birthday was supposed to end. I got off work early and could catch the tail end to stop by and say happy birthday. I texted my wife and asked her if it was okay if I went to tell him happy birthday, and she said it was all right for me to go. I called her and told her I'd stay until they were done, and that I'd give my brother a ride home since he was also there. It wasn't necessary for me to give him a ride, as he already had a ride home, but he was on my way to the hospital once I was done. She asked until they're done? Won't you be there super late then? I told her that it shouldn't run too late. I was getting to his house at around 9:40 p.m., and my friend's spouse said they were going to wrap up at around 10 p.m. She said that was fine. I then let her know that I had a bunch of leftover food from work and asked if she wanted me to drop it off before I went. She said no, because nobody was hungry, so I went straight to my friend's. After I got to my friend's house, we hung out and things went longer than 10, and my wife called me at 10:30. She asked me where I was, and I told her that I was still at my friend's but that I should be leaving soon. She got really upset at me, said that wasn't what we had talked about, and things spiraled into an argument, and she ended up hanging up on me. I left about 15 minutes after she called so I could help clean up from the party. She says that what I did was inexcusable because while her mother is stable now, she is still in the hospital. From my perspective, I feel like I communicated everything from my end. I asked if it was okay for me to go, and if she had told me she needed me then I wouldn't have gone. I told her that I would stay until they finished and that things weren't expected to go too much later. We've been fighting about this for the last few days. Today I told her that while I am sorry for hurting her feelings by making her feel like I picked my friend over supporting her, I am not sorry for how I handled communicating to her. I feel like by asking her if she was okay with me going before going, I was acknowledging her need for me to be there for her. I don't think I should be expected to know that she expects me to be at the hospital at a particular time if she doesn't vocalize it. I think that if she had done a better job of communicating to me her needs and boundaries, then I would have respected those things and her feelings wouldn't have been hurt. Am I in the wrong here? Am I doing a poor job of validating her feelings? I acknowledge I hurt her, but I think she should take ownership of not communicating well, and that if she communicated better, she wouldn't have been hurt. She feels like telling her that her feelings were hurt because she didn't express her boundaries well enough is me invalidating her. I'm lost and don't know how to handle this. You asked to stop by and say happy birthday, and she said okay. Then you told her you were going to stay, and by her questions you knew it was wrong. You should have left at 10:00 when you said you were to the very least when she called you. So 10 p.m. means later because your friend's cleanup came before your very emotional, upset, stressed wife. Well, you kept changing the goalpost. First you weren't going to go, then you were just going to stop by and say happy birthday. Then you were going to stay until 10. Then you stayed to help clean up. Yeah, I'd be perturbed with you too. Am I the antagonist for choosing a wedding date that is the same month as my sister's wedding? I, 30 years old, and my boyfriend, 30 years old, are unofficially engaged. When we started dating in 2022, we discussed marriage, kids, etc., and figured we'd probably want to get married in 2025. At the start of this year, my boyfriend asked to go ring shopping but wants to surprise me with a proposal, so we're holding off on an official announcement. The thing is, we've been really excited and talking about it a lot, to the point where we accidentally started planning the wedding. I know it sounds bizarre, but honestly we've enjoyed laying the framework in secret, because there were no outside opinions, and the big decisions would be fait accompli by the time we announce it. Also, when he told his family that we were ring shopping, his sister-in-law said it was weird that we were ring shopping before being engaged, so we're not keen to be told that we're being weird again. My sister, 33 years old, and her fiancé, 34 years old, got engaged 2 years ago, and there were no wedding plans, but last year she mentioned potentially doing it in 2025 and told us to block out June, September. Maybe I should have said something then, but it seemed a bit silly and obnoxious to be like, I think I'm getting married then too, when we really hadn't made that commitment, and she was the one who was engaged. Now, to where I might be the asshole. My boyfriend found the perfect venue, and the only viable date they had was in August, so we provisionally booked it. While talking to my sister last night, she said she is now thinking about August, so I had to tell her. She got angry because she'd already told everyone not to make plans for those months, so that we can be available for her wedding. I suggested she could choose another month since she hasn't planned anything, but I got engaged first, so I should have first choice. She also says planning a wedding at the same time will split the family's attention, which is bad for both of us, so I should wait until after her wedding to get engaged, but that's a no from me. Her final argument, and the only one that makes me question my decision, is that it's cruel to do this considering I know how long she waited to be able to have her moment, and this is really important to her. She and her fiancé had been together for 10 years before he proposed, and I know she'd been waiting for at least 5 of those years. I don't want to hurt my sister, but I really don't see the issue. Yes, it's not the ideal situation, but she's having 20 guests at a destination wedding in Italy, while we're having a traditional wedding with 150 guests in the town where I grew up. There won't be guest overlap apart from the immediate family, so as long as it's not on the same day, it should be fine, right? The venue we chose really is perfect for what we want, and I'll be away for work for a big chunk of the year, so the date is ideal. We could cancel and search for a different venue, but I really don't want to unless I'm being the asshole here. My family know now, but none of them want to get involved, so am I the asshole? No antagonists here, but tell your sister to think long and hard about a wedding in Italy in August. It's scorching hot and everywhere is fully booked and more expensive. She'd be better off having her Italian wedding in June or September. Your sister is being ridiculous because she allowed herself to be strung along for 10 years. She gets a day, not 4 months. Your perfect venue fell into your lap. Book it. Happy planning. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.